This is a presentation of Northeast Streaming Sports. You're listening to TGI Sports Talk with your host Keith Angle on Northeast Streaming Sports.
Good morning, everybody. Keith Angle, TGI Sports Talks. Are you serious? Right here on TGI Sports Talk and the Northeast Streaming Sports Network. We welcome everybody live to Facebook and Twitter and YouTube this morning. We'll be on Roku at noontime with a replay of this show. I hope you caught our TGI Sports Talks full Major League Baseball preview show Tuesday night with my co-host Drew Ehrlich. We had a great reception, guys. Tremendous response to that show. I thank you and all the groups that have participated and helped out there. I got a hold on. I got a forget to mute this other computer so we don't get sound. Anyway, great job there, guys. Thanks for turning out and supporting that. And please get to TGI Sports Talk and like and share not just the videos but the page itself. Growing very, very strongly. Today we're going to review, as soon as I bring my co-host here in a second, the Mad New Yorker, Carlos Chavez. We're going to review the New York Mets and the New York Yankees seasons and some other topics if we get that far. Lots to cover. Opening day last night, Mets win, Yankees rained out. So let's bring in, without further ado, Mr. Carlos Chavez, the Mad New Yorker. Good morning, Carlos.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Keith. How you doing, man?
Very good, thanks. Dave Gayette's in this morning early. Good morning, Dave.
Good morning, David.
Of course, is go Yankees.
Let's see how they do. Opening day. Let's go.
Lots of stuff to cover. I mean, I'll give you the choice whether we start on the Mets or the Yankees today.
Let's go with the rained out game delay. Let's start with the Yankees.
We'll start with the Yankees, and we'll start with scroll down too far. My banners all disappeared. Hold on. So we'll start with the Yankees offseason just a little bit. Obviously made some changes. Right. I don't know whether I'm happy or sad.
Come on, Keith. They got rid of Gary Sanchez.
That alone is enough. I mean, I'm very happy. If it took what happened to get it done, I'm okay.
We're not overpaying Urshela for being in and out of lineup.
I don't know how much Donaldson's going to be in either. That's the problem, though. You know, how much do we get out of Josh Donaldson? That's a big question mark.
That's the big question for sure.
If he plays 135 games and is Josh Donaldson that we've known over the years, might be a really good move for the Yankees. Plus, you have better defense behind the plate. Not much offense right now, at least. Not much offense out of the shortstop position, potentially. I'm not sure what this kid's going to bring, but
IKF?
Yeah, he's got some good potential and good, some guys are
bad. That's a Kinnear vintage line there, right there. He's related to Kinnear.
Who?
Kiner. IKF is a fourth cousin.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so let's see if some of that rubs out in his bloodline.
Well, I certainly hope it does. That's for sure. So I like the kid's defense. And, he does have a lot of versatility. So if they do bring up one of the kids during the season, they'll still be able to use him around the diamond.
IKF, let's go. Let's do this.
You got the holes in center field, which has not been filled, and I'm not confident in Aaron Hicks. So my later on, when we get to my overall prediction for the Yankees for the year, it's not going to be terribly rosy, Yankee fans. So,
oh, come on, Keith. Look,
I'm a realist when I do this show.
This is a new season for Hicks. Everybody already knows he hasn't played up to par. He knows he hasn't played up to par. He has an opportunity now to make some changes. Now, is he in the starting lineup today? I don't think so, right?
I have not seen the starting lineup, but it's possible that he's not.
Right. But he's got a chance now to regain a little bit more
good morning, Robert.
Save face a little bit. Morning, Rob. Rob sneaking in the shows.
It's very important that Aaron Hicks. This is, look at if he wants to help the Yankees, he's got to do it now, because without Aaron Hicks, I mean, if everything goes perfectly for the Yankees and Donaldson can play like Donaldson, Aaron Hicks is healthy and plays, 130, 140 games. Gardy doesn't have to play 100. Like, Gardy's not even back. Did they sign Gardy? Where is he?
Hicks is, he just married Tiger Woods' niece, right?
Well, Tiger's a little busy this weekend.
Yeah, so Hicks needs to show. He needs to show up and show out, man. He's got to step up his game.
I forgot the Yankees didn't bring Gardy back. I've had Gardy on my mind all spring, and I kept thinking he was on a roster. He never made it. So they got Gonzalez actually as kind of the fourth outfielder out there as
right.
well as. Well, that's it. I mean, they got 4 outfielders. That's the thing too. Coming out of this lockout and shortened spring training, the Yankees are carrying, I believe, 16 pitchers and 3 bench guys.
Right, and that's gonna as the season goes by, that's gonna like shift, right? Because you're gonna have injuries, you're gonna have guys that are gonna get sent down, you're gonna have guys that get traded. So right now, that 16 is just a safety net for Boone and Cashman because they don't know if a pitcher's gonna catch fire or if a pitcher's gonna get burnt out, So
yeah, and there are some date lines where they have to reduce the rosters back down and finally to 24, I believe, eventually. But for now, a lot of teams are doing the same thing: 16
right.
pitchers and 3 guys on a bench, which again makes it. I guess with the universal DH, it's not as big a deal. You're not going to do as much pitch hitting, So there's not as many moves to be made on either side, obviously. And Dave, I will tell you, I do have. Listen, it's not about faith. I will root for the Yankees to win, not just the division, but the World Series.
Don't bring religion into sports, Dave.
But here I got. That's right. Keep religion out of sports. But here I gotta be honest with my true feelings. I won't ever not do that. So, and real quick before we go on, warning to Stephen Gold. He says Cole needs to keep his inning reduced to be fresh for the playoffs. Well, there's another problem. We'll get into it. The Yankee pitching's thin, just like a lot of teams.
Yeah. And
Hicks is an injury machine. Fly the Allen's going to be throwing Texas. Yankees 160. Robert, that's a great prediction. I think. Listen, I've only been
don't put money on that, Robert.
I've been watching baseball for about 60 years, but I think that would be a record. I'm almost positive. Oh God, will you stop, Alan?
The Cubs came through.
Robert would laugh. Hey, listen, if they go 160-2, I'm going to wonder why they lost those 2 games and tell you Aaron Boone ought to be fired for him. So that's just the way.
So we're gonna see the Yankees win games. We're gonna see them lose games, and they're still gonna somehow or another they're gonna crawl into the playoffs, man. Because the playoffs are also extended. So that's an opportunity for a lot of teams that sometimes wouldn't have made it before. So hopefully the Yankees aren't on the bottom of that ladder, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, let's just jump into this. We'll go kind of we'll break down the offensive, defense, and the pitching, and then kind of give our prediction on where we expect both these teams to finish, the Yankees and the Mets. And we're on the Yankees right now. So as far as the Yankees offense goes, I don't see a lot of difference or improvement from last year, other than the fact that with DJ LeMahieu healthy, he played with a sports hernia all last year, most of last year, which really affected his power and production overall, as we saw. I do expect him to bounce back, and it's going to be a matter of how much, who's going to be the starting second baseman. I know the depth charts mostly show LeMahieu starting, but he's going to play around the infield, so right. He's going to get his licks. Glaber's reportedly this spring, back to the old Glaber, but I need to see it in real games before I get excited. Oh. And you got obviously Judge and Stanton. Stanton, they both need to stay healthy and produce for this team to be successful. What are your thoughts overall on the offense? Listen, before I let you go, this team would have been a really great offense if they'd done the right thing, the smart thing, and brought Freddie Freeman here to play first base. Now, I love Anthony Rizzo, and he was a great pickup last year, and I expect good things out of him.
Well, he's going to play a full season this year, right? Rizzo will be here the full year, so expect a little bit more out of him because he'll be here, a full season. My biggest problem, my biggest concern with the Yankees is Gallo. He's going to have to step up his game with the bat. He's a good outfielder. He's proven that. He's got a little bit of speed. We just got to see his bat come to fruition here, come to play, because if not, it's going to be hard to even, put him in the starting lineup, right? He can't be the one. He can't be that one guy, So.
Well, yeah, and listen, this is a team. I just had a brilliant thing to say. Oh, Gallo, right? So he's the ultimate 3 outcome guy, right? It's strikeouts, walks. He walks a lot.
He does walk a lot, though,
and strikes out, and that's what's wrong with the game today, man. You saw, and we're going to get to it later. You saw a great instance of why Buck Showalter, I'm getting ahead of myself, is going to be a great influence on the Mets.
Leave the Yankees out of your leave the Mets out of your mouth.
Robbie
talk about Yankees
on the other way last night with a bunt to an open left side of the infield.
Hey, let's save that for later. Come on.
I know, I got ahead of myself. Anyway, but Joey Gallo is another guy who, he bitched and moaned all offseason about the shift and how it's not fair. I got to hit into 8 guys. Well, Joey hit the ball the other way. And it'll be good if he gets on, keeps continuing with the walks though as well. You just have to be able to swing the bat. You don't have to hit home runs, man. Just swing the bat and keep your team in play and ready to score. That's it. Keep it simple, keep it easy. At the end of the day, you're surrounded by people who have way bigger bats than you. So you just got to try to fit in the mix. That's it. And again, this team needs to play better situational baseball on offense. They didn't do it all last year. Gallo's a perfect example of that, right?
Yeah.
You get runners in scoring position. You got to, start guys up and then, get the defense moving around so you create some holes for the offense. And you don't have, again, 7 guys standing on one side of the field waiting for Stanton to hit the ball to him or Judge or Gallo or whoever we're talking about. Now, Gallo's the worst defender there, but he's got to change his game. He brings a pretty good defense to the outfield. He can play some center field if they had to have him play there, as can Judge. So this offense, again, to me, it's really going to revolve around whether Gallo can adjust his game a little bit, what you're going to get out of Hicks, what you're going to get out of the shortstop offensively, and you can't count on much out of the catching position for offense, at least with the Yankees.
Right. I mean, and we want to see Stanton step up, of course. Look, I don't see why he can't have an MVP season. That's what they're paying him for, right? And as a New York fan, as a Yankee fan, I want to see him come close at least, right? That's my goal. That's my expectation for this year. Is let's see if we can get a Gold Glove MVP season type of Stanton and
Gold Glove.
Yeah, man. Let's see. Put him out there. Let him play. Let's see if that can happen. What are you paying him for at the end of the day?
I will agree with you that Stanton did embarrass himself in the outfield last year. And when he was in the outfield, he actually was better at the plate when he played in the field, which to me makes sense, right? Not sitting around between innings and, half an hour, 40 minutes between at bats.
And then your boy Judge.
Glover. Let's be honest. He's not a Gold Glover out there.
No, I mean, hey, he'll get his bonus if he does get a Gold Glove for sure.
Just catch the balls that are hit to you, and I'll be happy, and don't get hurt.
Look, he's got a rifle of an arm, though. You don't
have a good arm. Yeah.
So
a lot of bad defensive outfielders had good arms. So Reggie Jackson was horrendous in right field, and he had a rifle for an arm. So
so sometimes that helps, depending on the situation that you get and the situational plays that happen. So and then you Judge, right? He's got the big stick, and as long as he can stay healthy. What do you expect out of him this year? 315, 320 at least minimum?
If Judge is healthy, I expect him to hit over 300, hit between 40 and 50 home runs, drive in 120 runs, and be the MVP of the American League.
Right. Now, if he's MVP, then, you got to pay him more than Stanton, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, again, listen, they got 11 hours right now to get this done. And I still think there's a slim possibility they get this done today.
Yeah. So my prediction for Judge to get signed is that if he doesn't get signed and get paid more than Giancarlo Stanton, he's not going to be on the Yankees much longer.
I see. Right. Here's the thing. And I think Judge will have a big year, as we said. He's going to get a big contract, whether it's with the Yankees or somebody else. And if he doesn't sign today, they're going to pay a lot more come the fall if they do get him. If they even get him re-signed. Yeah,
everybody. That doesn't just mean the Yankees. Anybody or everybody who's going to try to get this guy as someone on their roster. Like I said, if I'm Judge and I'm looking over and Stanton's making more than I am, I'm not on that team, man. I'm sorry, but that's just me.
And I will give my obligatory answer about Judge and his health, since Ray may not have heard it in my previous rants about we need Judge. Let's not forget 5 seasons he's played. In those 5 seasons, he's finished 2nd, 5th, and 12th in the MVP voting. Please don't tell me he hasn't contributed to his team enough. He has.
Yeah, and he's gone from 15 to 10 to top 7 jersey sales in those same years.
Another reason for the Yankees to keep him around. If you want to talk about the money aspect, the Yankees that's another reason you need to face your franchise is to sell jerseys.
I don't know. And listen, at the end of the day, as much as you think it's about the Yankees, it's about Aaron Judge. He's the one who's going to decide whether he's going to take that deal or not. So,
well, I think they'll up it a little bit today. 7 years, maybe 30.
Yeesh. We'll see.
And it's certainly worth. Listen, he's worth every penny.
Hey, Carlos Beltran said he's already on the team, so let's move on.
Good point from Ray here too. Last year they got on a streak when they brought up some young kids and they instilled some fire into that team that was lacking. The team was just plodding along when they brought up.
But those kids are gone now. They got rid of them in trades.
But there's another wave of kids coming, as we know.
Yeah, but you know that listen, and I'll say it and I'll keep saying it. If you're good, you're young, and you got to be playing. If not, then I don't want to hear about it. Until you're on the field, I don't want to hear about, oh yeah, we got so in the minors. We got, that's not how baseball's rated and played. So
Ray brings up another good point about the Yankees. They need not be complacent and play with heart. One of my biggest problems last year and the last couple of years is they don't seem to play with that fire that we just talked about that they got when some of the kids came up last year. And look back to when Judge and Stanton first came up. That team was written off, and that's why they traded away everybody and brought those kids up. And they played better the rest of the year because of that fire.
Yeah, no. Well, see what happened too is that you keep forgetting is that those teams that the Yankees get complacent when they get stuck in those 3-2 games. All of a sudden they're gonna they're tied. That's where the complacency happens. If they're winning 4-1. The next game is gonna seem a lot different than the last game if they were just barely getting that win.
Yeah,
I think that's where the complacency kind of tends to flatline them as far as having energy, So
and that's one of my issues with Aaron Boone, to be honest with you. And I like the Aaron Boone hiring originally. And my faith in him has steadily gone downhill to the point I wanted him fired last year. But he doesn't hold these guys accountable when they make mental mistakes. He excuses everything away in the post-game press conferences. I'm not saying he needs to get, call out guys day after day, but he's got to at some point hold these kids accountable, these guys accountable. Sorry, they're you men. We don't need to treat them with kid gloves. They're making a lot of money to play a kid's game, and we expect. You look at physical errors are one thing, mental errors and lack of fire and heart, as Ray said, is. The manager has to help that bring the level of those items up.
But Keith, you know what else helps is when you're trying to make the team and you're trying to get that paycheck. That's where you see these guys and have this motivation to work hard and try to stay on the roster, right? The other guys on the roster, they're getting paid. Stanton's getting paid. Judge he's got a decent contract. He's looking for an extension. Cole's got a huge contract. Hicks got a huge contract. So where's the motivation? You already paid these guys. There's no motivation because they know that they're on the roster and they're not going anywhere.
Yeah, but they're all playing for their next contract, except
but nobody thinks about that when they're sitting on $100,000 at the end of the month. You know what I'm saying?
Well, here's the thing. You said Aaron Judge has got a good contract. He's he's barely making above the minimum, by the way.
Look, that's something that he has to work out with his agent, so he can easily he's not come to play and then just work his way out in the trade.
Well, if he doesn't come to play and doesn't produce, he's also hurting himself now. So
yeah.
Let's move over to the defensive side of the diamond. I wanted Freddie Freeman, but the Yankees don't lose anything with Anthony Rizzo on defense. He did a great job last year solidifying that infield defense. Torrey's moving back to second obviously was helpful, and he played a little better in September than he played the rest of the previous 2 years. Mm-hmm. They improved at shortstop with your boy Kiner Falaja, right? Falafa. So I should just call him by the acronym, right?
IKF, man. Just
IKF. All right, it's going to be a lot better that way. I like that better. Donaldson, he's been a good defensive third baseman through his career. I'm not sure about how much range he's got left at this point in his career and his age and injuries. But the infield defense, I think, overall has definitely improved over what we've seen in the last couple of years. And the catcher position as well, as we might include that in the infield. whether it's Higgy out there or whether it's going to be.
And Higgy's not bad, man. Higgy will be okay. Roosevelt, he's a new guy that just picked up, so
and he's hurt. He's going to be hurt for a bit, and Trevino's probably going to be sharing time with Higgy at least in the early going. And he's a pretty good defensive player as well. But again, not much offense out of this position, so you really got to contribute on the defensive side of the ball. But the Yankees overall, and the pitching staff will like this. Overall, the Yankee defense, infield and outfield, is really pretty good because Gallo, for all his offensive faults, he does put the ball in. He's a good left fielder. Hicks, when he's healthy, he's a really good defensive ball player. And you've got Judge, who's obviously way above average defensively. So the pitching staff, which we'll get to in a second as well, should be very happy that this defense is improved. Do you see any problems or any issues here other than maybe the bench might be good because you're either going to have Mayhew coming off the bench.
Play third or first. He's a utility man, right?
Yeah, well, right now he's kind of the starting second baseman, but again, I think you're going to see him move around, as we said.
He's going to be moved around a lot, for sure.
And Torres is better. And when one of the kids comes up to play shortstop and/or second base, depending on what the Yankees do trade-wise before the deadline, I think you'll see an even better defense and better depth too around the infield as well.
Now, look, the Yankees aren't hurting as far as depth is concerned on the defensive end.
No.
It's just let's see what we're going to get out of these guys hitting and pitching. So let's move forward and see what we got for the pitchers this season.
Let's look at the pitching since you bring that up. And again, the pitching, listen, Garrett Cole's one of the best pitchers in baseball. You know, the whole spider tack thing got in his head a little bit, I think, but he pitched better once he settled down, and he'll figure it out. He's one of the best pitchers in baseball, but we got a crapshoot after that. Jordan Montgomery's not, a top flight major league starter in my mind. Luis Severino, if he's healthy, but he's already got some injury concerns in the spring, only pitched, I think, 6 innings last year. Talion, again, pitched okay and then fell off. I think his ERA ended up a bit over 4 and got hurt at the end of the year. And I'm not sure that Cortez is going to repeat that, Cinderella story he had last year. So I'm a little concerned with the Yankee pitching after, at least the starters, after Garrett Cole. What are your thoughts there?
So first of all, the pressure is all on Garrett Cole, to perform, not just outperform his contract or up to his contract, but to get those wins that are needed. And if I'm the Yankees, this is why you have the 16 pitchers on the roster. Maybe it won't be that good to pitch him every third day, maybe fifth day. Give him maybe an extra day, 7 days. Because he got to get right in his head before he starts. Before you get him going in the playoffs. People talk about his numbers went drastically down after the spider track. It's not something that, as a pitcher, you could just shove off and be like, okay, fine, I'm just gonna go back to what I used to do, because that's not what you were doing. Pitchers work usually on rituals and their schedules and they're all about structure and the mental aspect, and not having that extra, that speed that he was looking at, the velocity, that's not easy to try to move past.
He has a good point. One thing that with the pitchers not allowed to use hardly anything except rosin, control is a big deal, and somebody's liable to get killed with the way these guys can throw so hard and not be able to control it as much because of this rule change, which is another thing to increase offense, which is every rule change in Major League Baseball since 1968 has been to help offenses, and they hurt pitchers.
Yeah, and Cole's always been known to have good, decent control, but having that extra, being able to stick it in the inside corner and being able to make sure that it hits the outside corner, those are the two opposite corners. That was a big plus for him, in the beginning of the season. And he doesn't, he lost that towards the end, and even you saw that in the playoffs. So it's, that's going to take a toll on him mentally and physically if he's going to try to do outdo himself and try to get to where he was while he was using, if he was using that stuff, right? Because
I'm
it's
sure
still alleged that he was, using it.
I'm sure he was using that or something else that he's not using anymore. So look,
Right. So
he stumbled for a month or so afterwards, and he rebounded at the end of the year.
he rebounded, but it took him some time to get there, and now he's got to break it down to mechanics and it's in the back of his mind. And as a pitcher, you don't need anything clouding your mind, man. You want to just go hit the strike zone or hit the spots you need to hit to strike guys out. So we'll see where he is. And if I'm the Yankees, I don't put him out there like every single, have him every 3 or 5 days. I'll give him a 2-3 days extra to be honest with you.
Well, here and there throughout the season. Listen, the Yankees are going to use 8, 9, 10 starting pitchers this year. There's no doubt in my mind. You're going to see Garcia and Gill back up through the course of the year. German is going to certainly get his number of starts. And I believe they'll make a trade at midseason. Watch out for Luis Castillo from the Reds. The Yankees have been in love with him for 2 years. He had a bad year last year, especially the first half. Second half, he pitched pretty well, but watch out for that. Guys, and to Ray, just a quick note, Ray and David and Alan, I'll get to your comments here in a second. I know there's a bunch, but we'll get through this and then I'll go through your comments and then we'll move on to the Mets.
And I think the same thing with Servino. I don't know if they should be throwing them out back to back to, these short days and short rest.
Early in the season, especially.
Early in the season, let these guys kind of work their way back into mental and physical abilities to get up to par, and then give them in a regular schedule.
Yeah, I think the Yankees and some other teams are going to go to 6-man rotations here at least,
because it was a short spring season, spring training, and some of these pitchers need that extra day, So
yeah, and in the bullpen, I think the Yankees are pretty solid in the bullpen. I love obviously Loaizaga, Chapman. If he's Chapman, he's still very good, but the Yankees are talking about closing the game, more games with Loaizaga. He's a guy that I hope Brett Boone uses similar to what he did last year when the game's on the line, 6th, 7th, 5th inning, wherever. He brings them in wherever he's needed to put out a fire, which your closer ought to be.
Right.
And Loaizaga he was like a Swiss Army knife in that bullpen last year. He pitched pretty much every inning of the game except the first. And I think he's going to spell Chapman in the 9th inning at points. To me, he's the key to this bullpen. He needs to stay healthy.
Yeah.
Chapman being, somewhat like Chapman.
Yeah. His durability, his multifaceted in between innings, that helped a lot. That gave them a little bit more, they had more faith in their bullpen because of that. They were able to do things. And it gives them time for the hitters to kind of wake up,
Well, and Boone's also got to be careful not to overuse him and not overuse Chad Green. Chad Green's really good until his innings start to pile up, and then he's just like, the ball's on a tee for these guys.
Yeah, I don't understand why they stretch innings on Chad Green, knowing that he's good the first first 4 or 5 hitters, and then just kind of like change him out. But they try to stretch him out to 8 hitters sometimes, and it's like that's too much. You know what I'm saying? And then they make him look bad, right? They're like, oh well, why? He's a pitcher. He should, But he's not. Sometimes he's not. When you're playing a relief pitching, somebody tells you in your ear you're going to see 3 to 4 guys. That's what you're hoping to do, and then all of a sudden you're seeing 6, 7, 8 guys, and it's like it's a mental thing. You start thinking, do I have enough gas in the tank? Did I stretch out long enough? So.
Well, let's give our predictions on the season for the Yankees, and then I'll move on to these comments before we get to the Mets, because there's a bunch of comments, and I don't want to ignore these guys because I love their participation. They got some good stuff up here. So you go ahead, tell me where you see the Yankees finishing in the East, and if they make the playoffs, where do you see them ending up?
I see the Yankees coming in 3rd, maybe 4th, but 3rd is I think where they'll probably end out in plus 85 games.
Making the playoffs?
Yeah.
Okay. Extended
playoffs.
So, well, yeah. I mean, there's 12 teams in the playoffs this year. I still don't have them in the playoffs right now, unless everything goes perfect. As this team is constructed, I'm looking at it today, I see this team, as you said, winning maybe 85 games. I see them battling for third and fourth with the Rays, who I think will take a step back this year. I think the class of divisions, the Blue Jays easily, at least on paper, got to play the games. I understand, but on paper, they're the class of the division. The Red Sox are better, and I think the Red Sox and Tampa Bay will make the playoffs out of this division, and not the Rays or the Yankees.
But you just said Blue Jays.
Yep.
But you mentioned Tampa Bay and
No.
Red Sox.
No,
Who's first? Who's first?
The Blue Jays are first, Red Sox are second, Yankees and Tampa Bay will battle for third and fourth.
I flipped that around. I think the Tampa Bay will still come through because of their youth. So I think it'll be the Blue Jays, Tampa, and the Red Sox and Yankees will battle out like it should be, and like TV wants it, right? What the media wants.
The Rays have proved me wrong before with this type of prediction, so we'll see. Well, listen, again, I don't think as constituted Yankees make the playoffs now. If everything clicks, Severino's healthy for the whole year, Cortez can put together some of the magic he had last year. Donaldson stays healthy, Judge stays healthy. Aaron Hicks can play more games than not and play good defense and hit the ball, by the way. He's only had one good year with the Yankees. I think they could certainly challenge for this division if everything clicked out. I just don't think it's going to happen.
I mean, the Orioles can't be that bad. Not everybody's going to beat Baltimore, right? Baltimore's got to win some games.
Yeah.
Right?
I picked them below 62 and a half the other night. So I think
really?
About 58 games. That's what I think.
No, so they got to beat somebody. So hopefully it's not in the division, right?
Let's go through some of these comments quickly so we can move on to the Mets. Dave predicts 90 wins for the Yankees, which will get them close to the division top probably. We know you cheer for the Rangers and Cubs, Alan. Yankees win 85. That's pretty much closer to where I am. Call the Yankees and Rangers East. A lot of former Texas. Not that many former Texas guys here. We only got a catcher and a shortstop, I think. I hear the Yankees signed Gardy. I didn't hear this. I wish they didn't myself. No, I don't think they have signed him yet. They've talked about bringing him in. I think they've got him kind of sitting over here, Dave. If they need him, you could see Gardy, sign a contract, but I hope not. We talked about that. We said hello to my dad. If I didn't, hello, Dad. We'll get to that in a second. We talked about that. Judge could be your Gold Glove guy if he's healthy. I agree. Again, Judge is a really good defensive right fielder.
Right.
This plays into here. Oh, we got that one. But somewhere, Alan's, in case I miss it, Ray, somewhere Ray says Judge will be playing center field. He'll play some center field. But if Judge is playing center field for the Yankees the entire season,
no, that's not going to happen.
He'll be on the bottom end of my prediction. I can tell you right now. Too much wear and tear on that big body playing center field every day. Cabrera and Hayes got an extension today. You give a huge contract to a player and then they don't play because they're injured. Well, it's a risky play all the time. But listen, the Yankees always sign everybody else's guy who's hurt all the time, like Stanton. But we can't sign our own guy. Let's not do that. I will not disagree with get rid of Cashman.
Cashman will be okay.
In the last 5 years, he's only played 120. He played 147 games last year, I'll tell you. And I think that Aaron Judge has figured out how to manage the load and not just, bust into defenses and dive for every ball. And that's how he gets himself hurt. That's why you can't build your team of free agents. I agree. Build this farm system is coming along, and you might want to.
Yeah.
Donaldson, I'm very torn on this whole trade. I mean, it got rid of Gary Sanchez, and that's the big upside for me, and it'll remain to be seen. I've never been a big Donaldson fan because he's such a whiny crybaby when he thought the Yankees were throwing at him over the years. Signing guys seems important during the trade deadline where contenders are fleshed out. You know what? Here's the thing. Trade deadline is going to be very interesting this year with the extended playoffs. You're not going to have nearly as many sellers as you normally have and many more buyers. So it's going to be very interesting to see how that fleshes out. Even improved, they're still one of the worst defenses in the game. Their outfield defense is really good. And it's really good at the corners of the infield if Donaldson can stay healthy and play. IKF is a solid utility guy. Well, the problem is he's our starting shortstop, though, Alan. And let's see. I'm willing to give this kid a chance. All I want, and I said this last year, All I want at shortstop is a guy who will catch the balls he's supposed to catch and not give away outs. That's all I want right now. He's above. I see. I don't see him playing center. Yeah, I do see him playing some center, obviously. But if he's got to play a lot, this is going to be a problem. The biggest question for all the pitchers in Major League Baseball is how they're going to handle the shorter spring training. As we talked about,
you mentioned,
yeah, they're going to. A lot of guys last night. Darvish came out with a no hitter, but he pitched 6 innings.
Oh, that was sad to see.
Yeah, I know. And the bullpen imploded over there. So all the pitchers are going to pitch less in April even than they normally would. And that's why there's 16 pitchers on each roster, or most rosters right now. You could find a diamond in the rough this year pitching.
That's true. Pitchers,
right? Nobody know what Cortez was going to do last year. Cortez, I'm probably saying his name wrong. Nobody saw that coming last year, and he kept them afloat last year. He really did through much of the second half of the season. Yeah, I forgot about Gallo. Sorry. I try to forget about Gallo, Allen. That's why I probably forgot him. And Oder, which was never a better name for a player than Oder, by the way, because, by the way, he stinks.
He's not bad. He's not great. He's not Yankee material, man.
Found a job on a perfect team for himself. He's on the Orioles, I believe, this year. So good job. All right. So that's our
defense. He just don't carry stick, man.
Let's move on. We already talked about where we'll have them finished. Let's move on to the Mets. So
let's go
quickly with their offseason. I mean, a lot of moves, obviously, bringing in a lot of different guys. And again, I know you don't like this word so much, but some of the guys they brought in were with character in mind. In my mind. Yeah. Hang on 1 second. Trying to get to where I wanted to be here. Last night you saw a nice game out of how do you say his name? Is it Canna or
Canna?
Canna, just Canna. Canna played center field, which I don't think was supposed to be his main position, but I saw him make a couple of nice plays in center field last night. He had a big base hit during the game. I like that acquisition. I certainly like the acquisition of Sterling Marte if he can stay healthy. He's a good defensive player. He's got a good stick. He runs.
He showed some speed last night on the field.
I think he only got caught stealing 5 times in 50-some attempts last year, so that's really good.
Well, remember he had played 2 leagues, and they don't count him for best stolen bases because of that asterisk, right? He didn't do it for one team, so.
Escobar coming in here, I think, is a nice pickup. I think Bassett is going to be a nice pickup because they need depth in their pitching as well, as we talked about the Yankees. And we can say this about almost every team.
Every team in the Major League Baseball will struggle pitching this year.
Yeah, so starting with, I guess, the offense of the Mets, as we started with the Yankees, how do you see? I see this team being better offensively because, again, I think you see some guys with better approach at the plate. And if they get bounce back years from guys like McNeil, McCann, if they produce at all, this lineup looks really, really good, at least on paper, better than what they had last year. Marte is going to be a huge addition to this team, I think.
Right. So
injury issues, though, he's got to stay healthy.
So the ringleader, Buck, will come into this season, as we could tell, with
the biggest offseason addition of all. Sorry, I missed it. Buck Showalter changing the culture of this entire organization. Now go ahead. Sorry.
Right. So the Mets, they had a decent team last year, a little bit younger. They had some guys that they got rid of, Villar. But coming in with these new players right now, as you saw yesterday, and if you watched the game last night, saw Buck kind of do his thing. He got a lot of players involved. That a lot of people, even guys like Evan Roberts from the fan, was saying that he didn't like having Cano back in the lineup because he didn't seem like he earned it. But Cano played great last night. He didn't really show his age until they took him out for a pinch runner, and the pinch runner was who else but Smith, right? So, and then Smith got in the game. So, saw Pete out there. Everybody's hoping he might even get an MVP have an MVP season. We'll see about that.
Bad play getting thrown out the plate last night early, but
that was
game. But
that was above. I don't know. Cora. I don't know what Cora was. I don't know what he saw that he kept him.
Yeah.
waved them on to keep running, but Pete did stumble a little bit, got excited.
Once you stumbled like that, you might better just.
Yeah, but if he would have stopped, he probably would have got injured, to be honest with you.
Possible too, yeah.
So, especially at the speed that he was going at, maybe tear ACL or MCL, but no, but it wasn't. I believe he was safe, but they put it back on video. Even the video showed that he got in before the tag, but it is what it is. That call didn't defy the whole night for them.
Yeah,
thank God. And Miguel, what a night he pitched, right?
Oh, McGill out of nowhere. I mean, this
guy, I would say out of nowhere. He pitched great last season, the first few games, and then kind of, you could tell that he wasn't he wasn't a regular pitcher that pitched, a full season.
Well, when I say nowhere, I mean to be the opening day starter.
Yeah, for sure. He stepped up big. He showed that he has an arm. He showed that he has velocity. He showed that he has control. McCann called a great game for him. We got to give him credit. McCann playing some soccer with the baseball last night, getting hit in the foot. Got an RBI.
A couple of places while we're talking about the last night's game, and again, it's still relative to the entire season that we're talking about right now, and the Buck effect that I always talk about. Right? You saw it. To me, you saw it at least twice last night. You saw it with Cano putting down a bunt with nobody on the left side of the infield. Foolish. And that's the way you get rid of the shift, by the way. We don't need rules eliminating it. Just do things like that.
Why doesn't everybody else do it?
Because they're not taught to do it, and they're not managed correctly, and they have the brains. They want to hit over it through it like Joe Gallo.
Okay, so I'm gonna try to explain this to you, Keith, so you can see. He knew that he could do that with Cano. Cano is a good baseball player who knows how to bunt. If you saw the guy who came after him trying to bunt,
I haven't seen Robbie Cano do that a lot the last few years with the shift against him every single time.
Nobody asked him to bunt because he's a good hitter. He's above average 270 hitter.
So Buck gets in his ear and says, if they do that,
go down to bunt. Yeah.
Lay it down. So that's a Buck effect. The other thing, and I don't know how noticeable it was to people, but a lot of times when and I think this will have a huge effect on the Mets through the course of the year. They flashed to the Met dugout a bunch of times when the Mets offense was on, we're on offense or up to bat. And he had Francisco Lindor's ear almost every time I saw him switch to the dugout. He was talking to him about the game situations and this, that, and the other thing. And Lindor was there listening like he was listening to, his favorite preacher.
Right.
And that's the type of thing where that Buck brings to this team. He's baseball 100%. He's seen everything. He's thinking ahead, and he's getting his players to think the same way, which the Mets have not done and played smart baseball either defensively or offensively in the last several years. And that's where Buck's going to have a huge effect on this team.
I mean, listen, I like that the guys came in relaxed. Even you saw it with McNeil. Wasn't hesitant at the plate. He wasn't looking to hit a home run. I feel like the guys last night everybody did their part, and everybody played well. Not great, but everybody played well. Everybody did their part. Yep. And the greatness that we saw last night was at the pitcher position.
Yep.
Right. And what was great is that everybody played their part and did it well. That for me is like an eye opener, because you saw hits where last year you didn't see hits, right? Well, and then you saw people attacking and running where last year you didn't see anybody attack or run, which is, part of Buck. I give him his props right now. Sure. But here's the thing, and the thing that gets me about Buck teams is that he does a great job managing, but he's not the follow through, the consistency at the back end of the season. Like some of these guys,
we'll see.
Some of the guys fall short, right? They get upset and they're not making their numbers, or they don't feel like they're going to get an extension or something. And then you'll see that whole well, I ain't got nothing to play for because we're not even in contention right now. So, that kind of stuff is what I don't like about when Buck coaches a team. However, bringing it to today about what happened yesterday, kudos to the Mets. They did a great job. I'm excited that it's opening day for the Mets and the Yankees. And we'll move forward from there. I was on the boat and I was telling people, and I was on my own train saying that the Mets don't need Scherzer and they don't need DeGrom like people think they need them. The Mets need Scherzer and DeGrom July, September, October. Like they need him when it counts. Because when the Mets were playing with DeGrom, they weren't even scoring points for him, and he was like the best pitcher in Major League Baseball. However, the Mets have like 8 to 10 young guys that are between the 40-man roster and the minors that they need to find out if these guys got gumption, if they got it, if they got what it takes to be pitchers in the Major League Baseball. And if they don't, they have the opportunity now to play them all in and out and see who's got it and who doesn't and get rid of them if they don't.
Again, this team is like the Yankees is liable to start 8, 9, 10 guys through the course of the year. They're going to get plenty of chances to pitch with DeGrom out, Carrasco and Walker always injury issues. And listen, Scherzer's 38 years old, so we don't know.
Yeah,
they need some breaks during the course of the season.
Yeah, and it's okay. Like, don't play him until the end of September. I wouldn't care. I don't want to see him throwing 98 miles and throwing hard, sliders and curves like to a game that won't matter. Like if they play, the Diamondbacks or something like that. I don't want to see that junk. I want to see the Mets be in contention and see these guys out on the mound and let them do their thing. And people just kind of look at me crazy. I'm like, look, you gotta find out what Peterson's got. Is he gonna be a pitcher in the Major League Baseball, and is he gonna be on your team? Right, that's a wild card for me because they put a lot of time for him, and he needs to show up. Right, so when they slide him into a starting rotation, whenever it is, we got to see what this kid's got. If not, cut ties with him. Same thing with a lot of Killamore. Killamore got some great stuff, but is he a starting pitcher in Major League Baseball? Right, so there's guys there that the Mets have. And they keep kind of like keeping them in the farm, but it's time for them to get loose and see see if they're worth it.
I kind of think the Mets should have pulled the trade with the Mets, or I'm sorry, the trade they pulled the plug on. Steve Cohen pulled the plug on last week.
Paddock?
We're going to get Paddock from this.
No, I don't want Hosner here, man. Nobody wants Hosner he's not worth it. He's not worth the money you got to pay him.
And cut him and don't play him and pay him.
Yeah, but that still goes against.
Steve Cohen is paying money right and left. He could, if he wanted the guy bad enough, he'd take on that contract, cut him, and just pay him.
Nah, I mean that's neither here nor there because it's not my money and it's not my team. But the problem is when you bring a guy like Hosner is that he has an effect on other players that you want to keep him on the bench as a safety net, but then you have to pay him, right? So you'd say cut him, but you're like, man, this guy's got a stick, right? You got a DH. Oh my God, what are you gonna do, right? So
take him on the bench and let him pinch hit and play against.
I don't know, no, man. Hosner's done, man. He's, what he needs to do is go to Japan and get paid, the big bucks. If I was his agent, I'd send him straight to Japan or Korea, straight up, man.
Anyway, this pitching staff, again, the depth is going to matter. McGill showed last night that maybe they've got some arms that can keep them afloat while they wait for DeGrom to get back, if he gets back. It's the success of this team could depend on the health of this pitching staff. The bullpen's still a little shaky in my mind. Diaz at the back is shaky, but Lugo being healthy is going to be a huge lift for this team because, like Loaizaga for the
oh man,
he fills a similar role as Lugo.
Seth Lugo, ultimate pitching guru for the last 4 to 5 years. Let me just say this about Lugo. He needs to be put in a position where he has consistency. Mm-hmm. As much as you use him as a utility pitcher, he's not a utility pitcher. He is totally on a schedule. He's got a routine. He's a totally routine pitcher. Just keep him in a regular routine. I don't care if it's middle relief, and I don't care if it's at the end as a closer. But don't mess with this guy because this is how he got hurt last time. They overextended his play in the eighth inning, trying to stretch him to the ninth to just get Diaz or what's his name that they traded Familia out there, and he ended up getting hurt because he pitched one too many guys. And he's a guy who his mentality is, velocity and trying to get guys out. So, the Mets need to quit messing with him and just keep him either as a closer or as a middle relief, but don't make him do both, man. He can do both. He can even start, right? Because he knows how to, and he's got a little bit of that in. But
I was a little surprised they'd never stretched him out a bit and let him, give him a regular turn in the rotation.
No, they did. They did for a month, right? And it was kind of going to work out, and then somebody, I forgot the pitcher who came back. I think it was Matt. So somebody came back up, and then they slid him into relief, and then that was it. He lost. They liked him there, but and then in the relief pitching, they're like, "Hey, why don't you close the game?" And then they liked him there. So and then he ended up getting hurt. But help this guy help you, right? Don't put him somewhere where he doesn't need to be, and that's everywhere. He just needs to be in one position, and that's either middle relief or closing. And you talk to him and you find out what he feels like he can do. Of course, any pitcher out there would be like, "Yo, I'll start. I'll middle relief. I'll close. I don't care. I just want to be, in the game." Yeah. But the Mets got enough to where they can actually have him choose where he wants to be.
And I'll get to your guys' comments. I know there's a bunch there, and I'll make sure we try to leave a few minutes to do that.
Hey, Lindor played a great game yesterday too.
Listen, I was going to bring up Lindor. So as we talk about this, real quick, I think the Mets defense is much improved as well. I think when they have their outfield and JD Davis isn't in left field and is not in center, and you've got your full complement of Marte, Nemo, and Kana out there, then I think that's a much better defense than they had last year. And also in the infield, Escobar third base is a big improvement over Davis playing there, obviously, and anybody else. And McNeil playing second base is probably better than McNeil playing shortstop or third base. And Lindor is the key. Alonso's a pretty good defensive first baseman. He's not Rizzo, but he's still a competent first baseman. Made a nice dig last night, a couple of them. Lindor is probably the key to that. I think Lindor is the key to this whole team. And I think Lindor bounces back in a big way this year. And I think Lindor is an outside contender for the MVP of the National League.
Yeah, last year I think he was cheated for a Gold Glove. I think nobody cared much for his stick. Everybody talked about his offense, but he was there defensively. He kept everybody together. He made JD Davis a better third baseman. He's one of those guys that improves the guys around you, makes other teammates better. He made a couple mistakes yesterday, but I think that's just him being antsy, wanting to try too hard. When he threw that ball to Alonso, but he's gonna make maybe one or two little errors, but that was him being antsy and him playing with Cano. Like you couldn't tell Cano's age, right? Because he's out there. And like I said, he disguises a lot of mishaps that can happen. So
this team, let's get to the brass tacks here. Where do you see this team finishing? And what are their postseason chances?
Oh well, let's see. I'm not sure if the Braves will be able to get that team refocused. I'm not sure where their leadership's coming from and if their pitching is going to
leadership. What? Okay, never mind.
Yeah. I don't know if that coach is going to step up and make the right moves, man. That's the leadership I'm talking about. And then the pitching staff, if it can stay consistent, but the Mets can be in second, maybe battling out for third. But I see them winning 98 plus.
98 plus.
Yeah.
Well, that's first place, by the way.
Yeah. I think they can. I think they can get up. I think look, they were in first place last year for a few months.
Yeah.
And they blew it. So
I will tell you, I don't have the Mets winning anywhere near 98 games. I took them under the 90 and a half. The books have them for their over-unders. But with that said, I still see the Braves at the class of the division. I think the Phillies and Mets battle for second place.
Yeah.
Get into the high 80s and wins, and both the Phillies and the Mets make the playoffs.
Yeah. Okay. So the Mets will for sure make 80 to 85 games. I think for sure.
Yeah.
The thing is that the East Division is that's going to be so competitive. Like you're going to have the Marlins coming up from where they were. They're a better team. The Braves are of course the championship team, and those games are going to matter more now than ever. The Phillies they're lacking what 4 or 5 pitchers, but they have big sticks. Like everybody in their lineup can hit, So, and they made sure of that, right? They made sure that if they lack one thing, they made it up with another. So,
yeah. Let's finish up with the comments we have here from the group here. There's a bunch here. Let's see. Where do I want to start?
I'm ready for a Subway series.
I think Lindor is going to be an important cog, and I think he, like I said, big bounce back year for him. Buck Showalter will make the Mets a better team. We've already talked about.
Well, he has to make a bet. If he doesn't make the Mets a playoff team, then he needs to get fired. Yeah, I mean that's the way it is. Because don't waste money, don't waste time. And you want a culture change, fine, change the code. But you came with this team, you spent money with this team, you spent money on the coach to make him a playoff team. If they don't make it to the playoffs, then you got to get fired. That's it.
And Kenny goes on about the shift here. I mean, he and I are on the same page here. Again, you don't need to put in rules, right? We need to just teach guys to hit the ball where guys aren't. That's all. Pretty simple. And Ray does. I think he's talking about he might be referring to Kenny's comments here or my comments. Pitchers do pitch differently with the shift. Obviously, they should. I mean, you're not going to pitch so guys hit the other way, but you need to hit the other way and figure out how to do that. And you can do it, even if it's just laying down a bunt like Cano did. You will eliminate the shift, and you just need a guy like Buck, or listen, a Billy Martin type will change this.
Well, look what McGill did last night with Soto, right? When he had bases loaded, he pitched him outright. Like I was afraid. I was like, just whatever you do, don't mess up. But he outpitched Soto as a hitter. Now, the second time Soto came out, he smacked one on him, and he was the only home run that the Nationals had. But and even that defense behind him, they gave him 2 double plays, almost 3, right? So you have to have a pitcher that understands the situation as well. Yeah. So that's important.
And Ray's back, I think, to the Yankees when he says they don't have another center fielder. Well, they do, besides Judge. They have Aaron Hicks, and Aaron Hicks is a key. They've made him a key to this team. And
yeah, man.
Play the majority of games in center field. That means Stanton's playing the majority of games in the field as well, and that's not going to be a good situation for the Yankees in the long haul.
Look, a lot of people talk bad about Hicks, but he is a switch hitter, and he's going to give you some at bats. So I think he'll be okay, man. Let him come back and let him get into the groove, and let's see what he can. Let's see that he plays up to his contract, and if he doesn't, find a way to get rid of it.
Yeah, and Ray, we'll continue to get into this. I do it almost every show, and I'll talk about hitting the other way. You can hit the other way. Pitchers have pounded guys inside if that's where their weaknesses was for years, right? And I'm not saying eliminate the shift. I don't want the shift eliminated, but guys can go the other way, and pitchers make mistakes. And you need to look for ways to get the ball to the other side of the diamond where the players aren't. And Ray does pick the Rays, Yankees, and the Sox. And I'm not sure which of those he's got in the playoffs, but I'm going to assume he's got all 3 in the playoffs. You can make a comment if we get it.
Yeah.
You're not pitchers are creatures of habit in spring.
That's right.
Yeah, I agree. And
you're right, Ray.
Spring training is more for pitchers than hitters. I get it. And pitchers are normally ahead of hitters at this time as well, which, again, we got to take it into consideration when we watch performances like McGill's last night. Is he going to be pitching like that in June? Let's see what else we got here. Ray's got a big difference with the Mets is they have an owner supporting the team and being behind the players, and now the players know the owner will get. I agree. You know what? I'm sure if they know they're in contention mid-season, they're certain they're going to go out and get help for this team to get over the hump through the last of the season and into the postseason, obviously. Ray's a season ticket holder, I believe, with the wait a minute. I think you're a season ticket holder with the Yankees, Ray. I'm not sure. So I think you're talking about the Yankees finishing 3rd or 4th.
Yeah, I think the Yankees.
Maybe he's talking about the Mets because now he's got them around. If either one, I got both these teams at 85 and above.
85 is a safe bet for both teams.
The Yankees could be below 85 actually, if things go totally wrong.
You think they're going to fall behind at 85?
It's possible. Again, if everything goes wrong, they could get hurt.
Well, I mean, we don't usually talk about the Yankees in that manner where if everything goes wrong, right? It's usually like, let's make sure that we make the playoffs. Minimum.
Yeah, Dave, the Yankees, by the way, have 16 pitchers, not 10 or 11. Oh, maybe you're talking about starters. Yeah, they're going to have probably 10 or 11 starters for the year. Prediction on who's goes to the World Series. I will give you that, and I gave it the other night. I'll give it to you now since you asked for it. And Carlos, we got to do it quick. But I had where's my thing here? I have Toronto and Milwaukee in the World Series, and Milwaukee winning the World Series. Go ahead quickly, Carlos.
Milwaukee and Tampa Bay.
There's Ray's clarification. Yankees third or fourth, which is where I am. Mets second or third, and I'm kind of in the same place on both. And I have the Yankees not making it, and Mets and Phillies both making it. 45% they win less than it's. Yeah, I don't disagree. It's possible. All right, we got to wrap it up. Carlos, great job today. I know you're a big fan of both these teams, which I can't be. I have to. I can't.
You want New York to win, man. Let's go.
I just can't multitask like that when it comes to my teams. Thanks to my co-host, Carlos Chavez, the Mad New Yorker. We'll see you
guys
on our Stream of Consciousness show. Keith Angle from TGI Sports Talk right here on the Northeast Streaming Sports Network. We're out. Bye-bye.